My name is Ashley, and if you're new here, welcome. Today I have something a little bit different planned. I found some stories from Reddit because if you don't know this about me, you will soon. I am, unfortunately, chronically online. I watch so many videos of people reading Reddit stories. I love to read them. I always find that I have so many thoughts, so many words to say, and no one to say them to. I've found some stories. I have not read all of them, so I don't know how they're gonna go. I read the first paragraph or so of all of them. Hopefully, they're interesting. I'm not going to say that. These are people's lives. This is my first video like this, and I definitely plan on making more like this in the future. So if you like it, please let me know in the comments. I'll be doing more like this regardless. Be sure and subscribe so that way you don't miss it, because I've definitely got some things in the works. More like this coming soon. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into it. The first story that I have today is from r/Am I Overreacting? Am I overreacting with my response to my mother-in-law's reaction to my son's haircut? This has been eating at me for the past 24 hours. Christmas Eve, I took my 2-year-old son grocery shopping, and last minute I decided to get his haircut. Dad was on board. He was tired of having to pull his hair back. He's got a thing against man buns. It's his issue, not mine. I'm glad that they clarified. My son has only ever had a trim, less than an inch, but his hair was getting into his eyes and was constantly tangled. I decided I wanted to get it cut shorter. I took him to a barber and asked for 3 things. Make it shorter out of his eyes, not a buzz cut, and make it look cool. Dad's request. It came out great. It's a huge difference and it makes him look so much older. We didn't tell anyone so we could surprise them on the celebration later that night. We walk in, son's hood on his head, and when I set him down, I took his hood off and say, "Surprise!" Everyone reacted positively. Well, almost everyone. I kind of already know where this is going, but my mother-in-law screamed actually, "Oh my God, no! You ruined him," and ran out of the room crying. Crying? Tears over cutting somebody's hair? That sounds like the overreaction to me. We were all kind of just stood there awkwardly. Everyone else said how grown up he looked and how great it looked and moved on. For the first hour of the party, really just family, my mother-in-law refused to talk to me, but I brushed it off thinking she was busy cooking. I offered to help, but she said it was handled. It was kind of awkward the rest of the night, but I found ignoring that there's a problem when she gets dramatic like this is the best course of action. Towards the end of the night, I went to throw the garbage bag out to the trash can and heard people talking. From the trash can, she was on the back deck. I overheard my mother-in-law complaining. I tried to ignore it, but I heard my name. She was smoking a cigarette on the back deck, berating my choices in parenting. She was telling this family member that I was so ignorant in getting his hair cut, and how dare I not go to the same place where his dad, my husband, went to get his first haircut. How different my son looks, and that he looks awful. That I completely took away the baby look from him. And the last thing she said that made me post this was, "How dare she do this to my baby?" I got pissed. For context, this woman has a history of pushing boundaries, overstepping, and trying to take custody away from other family members. She's used to having total control over her sons, and when I came along, we get along, but if I don't do exactly what she wants, like a parenting decision, she gets pretty passive aggressive and complains and whines to her other son, and it just gets awkward. My husband is solely on the train of, yes, she is a lot. No, she will never change. Don't bother wasting energy on trying to fight it. We just keep our distance as much as we can. And the peace, and I've accepted it, I know it's a problem, but let's just focus on this one first, please. Anyway, back to this situation. Once I hear her say that last remark, I slam the garbage can lid down and go over and say, very calmly I might add, "If you have a problem with the choices I and my husband make about our son, I suggest you bring it up to your therapist next time you see them and learn to deal with it." Wow. I walked back into the house. I let my husband know what had happened. He snorted because he thought it was funny, and we left for the night. We were heading out anyway. It was a tad awkward on Christmas Day, but not on my end. I just wanted to be there for my kids and enjoy the day. My father-in-law had to work the night before, so we had gone over to see him, and he loved the haircut. Am I overreacting for my response to my mother-in-law's reaction? I know I probably should have said nothing and just ignored it and gone about my night, which is how I was raised, but I just snapped. I was overwhelmed with the stress of the holidays, finances, and everything else a mom has to deal with during Christmas. First of all, I don't think she's overreacting. I think if anything, that's a massive underreaction. Somebody has gathered people in a group when you're in the next room to talk about you and how your parenting decisions suck, I think that kind of sucks. And I mean, it's not like they were doing anything behavior-wise with the kid that was, a bad decision. It was cutting his hair, which, I mean, if you've seen my latest video that I've done, I actually cut my own hair and maybe hacked it a little bit. But you know what? It's hair. Hair grows back. It comes back, especially he's a little kid. His hair is definitely growing pretty fast, I'm sure. To say that it was an overreaction, I don't think so. I think she underreacted. I probably would have handled it differently, to say the very least. Yeah. The top comment on this says, is your mother-in-law insane? Genuine question. What the actual fuck is wrong with her? Yeah, that would be what I would say. I think she did not overreact, and that was the best thing that she could have possibly done in that situation. I couldn't imagine a world where I care that much about how somebody cut some little kid's hair. Of all the questionable stuff that people do with their kids, and you're worried about a haircut, like, I don't care if somebody cuts their kid's hair like blue and gives them a mohawk. Like, it's a little kid and it's hair. The consensus is that the mother-in-law is awful and that they set a boundary and that she did a good job. I tend to agree. I think if you don't set those boundaries as soon as they pop up, you're going to have a whole other set of problems on your hands pretty soon. Okay, after that one, I think we kind of need one that's a little silly. So I don't know if this one is going to get silly. It might be. Based on the title, it has the potential for silliness, but we'll see. This one comes from r/relationship advice. My boyfriend, 31-year-old man, gets mad when I, 30-year-old woman, ask him to have better hygiene. It's already starting out at a bad place. Probably nobody on here knows this about me yet, but I'm sure I will mention it at some point, probably from this story. I'm kind of a massive germaphobe. Like, I wash my hands like all the time, hand sanitizer. It's a whole thing. If you watch my vlogs enough, I don't know if I've mentioned it there yet. I probably will at some point. The cat will inevitably come out of the bag, as it usually does. I'm trying to be better, but I have a feeling I'm going to have a strong reaction to this story. I don't know. It could get weird. It might gross me out. Come on, guys. You're 30. Be clean. My boyfriend and I have been together for about 2 years. Last year, I moved to live about 5 minutes away from him so we could get to know each other better before we moved in together, and it has been eye-opening. Which, by the way, I just want to say that's really smart. You don't want to wait until you move in with somebody to find out that they're gross. That's something, I mean, you should be prepared for that well before you move in. I found out he only showers and brushes his teeth on days he has to work and doesn't wash his hands after he pees. Can I say that on here? After he uses the restroom? Ew. I honestly don't want to kiss him if he hasn't brushed his teeth, and I found out his ex-girlfriend also complained about his bad breath. He's trying to make changes, but I don't think he's trying very hard, to be honest. He's gotten better, but I have to ask him most mornings if he has brushed his teeth, and when he goes to the restroom, I always have to ask him to wash his hands with soap. I've been trying to be patient. No one is perfect, but what pisses me off is that he calls me mean when I get on him about not doing it. I am at a loss. Children don't need to be told to do this, but he does, and then has the audacity to get mad. It culminated into for some reason I read this as it culminated into a fist fight this morning. I was like, whoa, this story got dark. It culminated into a fight this morning where he called me mean again. And this time I lost it and said, okay, you want me to actually be mean? I have to raise you like a child because your parents didn't. He told me we'd talk when I stopped throwing a tantrum like a child. And I responded, I'll stop throwing tantrums like a child when you have better hygiene than a child. Any advice on how to proceed? I don't think I could handle that, to be honest. There's a lot of things in relationships that you both need to be on the same page for, right? I mean, cleanliness, that seems like it's a base level thing that you both have to be on the same level with. Because if not, one of you is going to end up cleaning up after the other one or grossed out by the other. And that's, if you're looking to partner up for life, do you want to be dealing with that for the rest of your life? And even if you're coming from the perspective of the person who's maybe not as tidy, which is totally fine. Not everybody's a super neat freak or anything. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with somebody over your shoulder telling you to be cleaner and everything? If that's who you are, that's who you are. I mean, that's kind of gross. I guess that's just a personal opinion that's gross, but that's kind of gross. That's kind of nasty. And you got to be told to use soap? Even before COVID, that was bare minimum, but the year 2025 and somebody's got to tell you to wash your hands with soap. No. What I would do, I would probably walk away. I think that they decided to get to know each other better before they moved in, which is a smart thing to do. And I think that they have learned that they are likely not compatible. I think that they have learned that they are not currently compatible either, because if you're like grossed out and you don't even want to touch him or kiss him or anything, and his hygiene is questionable, I think that's, you got to know if that's a deal breaker for you. It would be a deal breaker for me, and I'm just saying I would be out of there. Kind of seems like, just looking at the comments and everything. Oh my god, and I just realized that this person is 30. That makes it worse. I mean, I'm 33. I'm not calling anybody old or anything, but like, when you're 30, you kind of know who you are as a person. There's not really a lot you're changing at that point. I'm not saying people can't change, because I changed too, and there are some things that I need to change that I'm working on. I think everybody can, but like something like hygiene, I don't know. Do you really want to be the one who has to change that on a 30-year-old man? I don't know. The top comment says, gross and unfixable. He's 30 years old. What you see is what you get. He's an adult, and he doesn't see this as a change that benefits him. He's not considerate enough to do it for an ex-girlfriend. Why do you think you're the one who will all of a sudden make him see the error of his ways? I kind of agree with that, but at the same time, when you're trying to like change people and stuff, even if it's for the better, imagine, could someone change you, make you change? Probably not. Like, nobody could convince me that hand washing was unnecessary, and I kind of have that same mentality with, I don't think I could change anybody who didn't think that hand washing was necessary. Like, I have my strongly held belief, which is that not doing that is gross. Someone else also has that same belief, and it's just as strong for them. You're not going to be compatible with everyone. That is the kind of thing that will only get worse. Definitely run. Like, what else isn't he doing? I don't think I want to know. Anyways, moving on. Am I overreacting for refusing to go on a vacation with my in-laws that was booked without our knowledge? My mother-in-law is extremely fairy oriented. That actually would be a kind of a cool mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is extremely family oriented and lives alone after being widowed about 10 years ago. I'm married to her eldest son, and we have a baby. Her other son is also married with a toddler. Before we all had kids, she used to book vacations for all of us using a timeshare system she has without asking us if we wanted to go or even checking if the dates worked for us. This would often involve driving 3+ hours to a town that doesn't have anything we want to see or do. She's also done this with theater tickets, sports tickets, etc. in her city, which is 5 hours away from us. We make the drive at least every 2 or 3 months and stay with her at her house for several days each time, so it's not like this is the only way she'll see us. We mentioned multiple times, subtly, that she needs to check with us before booking things. I thought she got the memo until this Christmas. She gifted us all a week vacation together in a ski town in May to celebrate a significant work anniversary for her. It's a 6-hour drive for us, closer for her and my brother and sister-in-law. I simply don't want to go. She said she chose that date specifically because it's before I return to work following my maternity leave. But being on maternity leave doesn't necessarily mean I'm available, and it definitely doesn't mean I want to incur the expense of food, gas, etc. on this gift. If she had asked us before booking it and presented it as something she wanted to do to celebrate this milestone for her career, I would have sucked it up, since I understand family time is very important to her and she doesn't have a spouse to celebrate this work anniversary with. However, I find the way she went about it infantilizing and ultimately kind of manipulative. My brother and sister-in-law are also not thrilled. Neither of them are even certain that they can get the time off work, but my husband and brother-in-law seem determined to try to make it work without acknowledging the way she did it is not okay. I told my husband we can either have a talk with her or tell her in no uncertain terms that she needs to stop spending money and making reservations without checking with us first, or I will not be going on this vacation, and neither will her exclusively breastfed grandchild. Yikes. This one's kind of tricky. It does kind of suck to have people like decide what plans you're going to have without consulting you first. I can see how that's really irritating. For me personally, that would really get on my nerves. I don't have kids, so I don't understand really the way this would feel as her, like in her position, because it says that she's still on maternity leave. Her child, the mother-in-law's grandchild, is being like exclusively breastfed right now. So she just gave birth. She's still healing from all of that, by the way. Taking care of a new baby, that's not really when you want to go and take a vacation, I would think. I mean, aren't you kind of just settling in to, this major life change? Like, I'm not exactly sure that I'd want to settle in and spend the last couple of weeks that I have before I have to go back to work after being at work, for months on end, because childcare is definitely work. It's not like she's just loafing around the house eating bonbons. Like, she's taking care of a baby. So she kind of had that time sort of taken from her. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know if I would go. I probably wouldn't. And I'd just let her know, like, hey, you'll just have to cancel it, at least for me. Because I'm not going to do that. You didn't ask if I even wanted to. And plus, they say it's a gift for them, but it's to celebrate a work anniversary for her. So how much of a gift is it really if it's to celebrate something with you? I mean, you are still gifting somebody like accommodations, presumably, but at the same time, like, you're kind of just bringing trying to bring attention onto yourself, and they have a new baby and stuff, so maybe she's doing it on purpose. I don't know. So, I mean, maybe she's doing it on purpose. The consensus in the comments, it says that she's not overreacting. This top one, I agree with this one. Not overreacting. Stop being subtle. She can't understand that. Yeah, don't be subtle. You have to tell somebody no. And yeah, it sucks to like be the bad guy or whatever, but you can't subtly imply something sometimes. You just have to rip the band-aid off. You have to look like the bad guy. You just have to say no, because if that's part of drawing boundaries, that's why it sucks. But like, if you don't, you're just going to be dealing with this forever. But this comment says, call her out. You don't have to be mean, but call her out and tell her, I wish you would have discussed this with us. I have plans during that time and will not be able to attend. Just say it and stick to it. Your hubby needs to correct this going forward. That's true, because it's his mom. There's only so much that she can say as the daughter-in-law. You don't want to be stepping all over that relationship just to get your point across. They also say there is no way I would want to spend money on a trip going somewhere that doesn't interest me. Her children can go on this trip with her to celebrate. I agree with that as well, because you're not just gifting somebody a trip. It's not like all expenses paid or anything. You're like deciding when and how somebody's going to spend their money and their time. And I don't think that's fair to do. And these are adults. These are people in their 30s with children. They're not like college kids. They're adults with lives. They're not, and they can't just drop everything and do something you want to do. I'd honestly be kind of annoyed, because when are you going to get to go on a vacation that you actually want to take? And it does also suck, because the OP also has to be in a position where she looks like ungrateful or something like that. But it's just not fair. You can't decide how somebody's going to spend their time. That's not fair to them. Like, especially if it's to celebrate like a work anniversary. Who takes a trip for that? Like, go out to lunch. Go get a margarita or something. Go out for a glass of wine. You don't go and take a vacation to celebrate a work anniversary. Unless, I don't know, you're retiring or something, but even then, that's still weird. I think the OP should definitely be happy that she lives like 5 hours away. If she lived closer, it might even be worse. Okay. So this next one is from a different sub. It's called r/TIFU. And if you don't know what that means today I effed up. Today I effed up by turning cleaning out my fridge into a game. That sounds like such a good idea. I'm interested to see how this turns into a story about something getting effed up. My wife and I have a terrible habit of letting things go bad in the fridge, namely produce and leftovers. We take turns cleaning out the fridge, and it was my month today. We had a ton of to-go containers filled with leftovers that we haven't touched in God knows how long. I get kind of overwhelmed easily, and starting chores is a gigantic mental block due to my ADHD. I definitely feel him on that. My therapist suggested at one point that I turn chores into a game to see if it makes it any easier. To my surprise, it did work for some things, like seeing how fast I can fold my laundry and try to beat it next time. I thought about how I could possibly turn cleaning the Darwinism from my fridge into a game, and then I thought of it. Garbage can basketball. Couldn't just stick with a time trial. All the containers were sealed pretty tight, and I kept the garbage can only a few feet from me, so I wasn't concerned about them busting open. Afterwards, I moved on to the produce. For some reason, I thought it would be a good idea to move the garbage can about 10 feet away for this. I got all of them in with no issue. My last thing to throw out was an English cucumber that was still completely wrapped. It definitely felt soft, but I didn't really think much of it. I tossed it towards the trash can where it bounced off the rim, hit the ground, and exploded. It was basically equivalent to a water balloon popping, except with the rotting stench of death. I had to race to toss my cats into the bedroom so they wouldn't go over to it. Used an entire roll of paper towels and tons of Lysol. I literally had to put on an N95 mask and put Vicks Vapor Rub on the inside of it so I wouldn't smell it as bad, but it only helped about 75%. It took me about half an hour to clean it all up. I'm never buying cucumbers ever again. I had read like the first paragraph of this about cleaning out the fridge, and I figured it was going to be kind of gross. Like maybe they forgot and maybe they effed up by leaving some stuff in there for too long and it was nasty to clean it out and they had a fight about it or something. That's kind of what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting an English cucumber water balloon. That just sounds like a nightmare. And I mean, as I mentioned earlier, I'm kind of a germaphobe, so that's... Oh my God. The top comment says, "This is not a monthly chore, my friend. It's a weekly one. Good luck next time." I definitely agree. That's something you need to do once a week. If it's that bad that you're having produce, like if your produce is getting volatile, if it's exploding, you may want to increase the frequency that you're cleaning that out. He's lucky he didn't get seriously sick, because there's no way in hell that was healthy at all. He's smart for putting on the mask. I don't know what I would do. I mean, I guess I do, because I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with, because I don't think... I mean, I've had to throw out an English cucumber before, which I hate having to do, and I'm pretty sure I might even have some in there that are like today or never, and it's already like 9:15 p.m., so I don't think I'm going to be eating those. I don't know. I hope to God that they're okay tomorrow. I'm eating them tomorrow. This story is a cautionary tale. I need to eat my English cucumbers yesterday. The next one is from r/relationship advice. Okay. Let's get ready for this one. So the title of this one is, "I met my boyfriend's work wife for the first time and I'm devastated." This is a 23-year-old woman writing about her boyfriend who is 25. So throwaway account, because this is pretty personal drama and I don't want all my friends knowing about this just yet. I've been with my boyfriend for 5 years now and he's been in his current job for a few years. We'll call him Jake. I never met any of his coworkers until last night, but there's one in particular who we will call Amy. He sometimes does favors for her, fixing her car, going to her house to fix stuff around her house, etc. And I was never really concerned because he told me all his coworkers are a lot older than him. However, one night while he was asleep, his guy friend kept blowing up his phone, so I answered to let him know Jake was sleeping, and so was I, so please stop calling. Anyways, before I put the phone down, I noticed 5 unread text notifications from Amy. I guess some of the spam notifications were from her. One of them said, "Great, Jake. Now everyone thinks we are..." Definitely gonna have to blur this word out. Crying laughing emoji. This really concerned me, so the next day after Jake got home from work, I asked about it. He said that both him and Amy were late for work that morning, so everyone probably assumed that, and it was just a joke. I thought it was a weirdly unprofessional joke and expressed my discomfort. He invited me to the bar with him and his coworkers that night so I could meet her and see it was nothing to worry about. It did not soothe my nerves at all. Turns out Amy is not a lot older than him. She's only 3 years older and super pretty. The entire night she was all over him, touching him, leaning on him, putting her arms around him, and even kissed him on the cheek and acted like it was normal. That is not normal. You're not supposed to go and kiss your coworkers on the cheek. That is so bizarre. I think I could probably count the number of coworkers I've hugged on one hand. They were constantly teasing each other in that middle schooler who doesn't know how to properly flirt yet kind of way. She told me all about how she loves him like a brother, and also told me she's had with half of their coworkers, and that she got the next morning off work because she... Wait, what? She got the next morning off work because she sent a coworker nudes to get him to cover for her? Okay. Can I get y'all to call HR? That's unhinged. Later on, she started crying and sobbing at the bar, actual tears, because she's so lonely and wants someone to love her, and my boyfriend ended up having to comfort her. I'm just unsure what to do or say. My boyfriend kept acting like this was normal, that he wasn't doing anything wrong by entertaining this behavior. I can't ask him to cut her off. They're on the same unit and they have to work together. I literally do not know what to do about this, but I'm just disgusted invested knowing that this has been going on these years that he's worked with her? How can I set boundaries when they're forced to be around each other all the time at work? And that's the end of the post. Oh my God. I feel like I've aged 100 years reading this post. The top comment seems to be what I'm thinking as well. It says, your gut is working. None of that is normal coworker behavior. And it's okay to be disturbed. One small step. Calmly tell him you need a firm boundary like no touching / kisses, no outside of work favors, and see if he actually respects that. I mean, I guess it's been like 5 years, so it's kind of hard to just leave. I mean, that's... But at the same time, you can't just stay in a relationship just because it's been a long time if it's that crazy. I mean, if he's literally openly being physically affectionate with other women in front of you, I mean, it'd be one thing if it was even behind your back, but they're just doing it to your face. That just seems crazy. And she's just super open about talking about how like promiscuous she is, which I mean, you know, good for her, I guess. But at the same time, if you're the girlfriend in that situation and your boyfriend is the one that she seems to have her sights on, I'd be pretty uncomfortable too. Cheek kisses and hugging and touching, that's very, very strange. And I don't know if I'd be comfortable with my boyfriend going to her place to like fix things either. Absolutely not. You hire somebody to do it or get someone else to do it for you. Absolutely not. Okay, one of these comments, it kind of hits the nail on the head. He has dated you for 5 years, and instead of asking you to marry him and start a real life together, he is treating other women like his girlfriend. Fixing her car, house, giving her rides, flirting with her, etc. That's what you do with someone you have feelings for. The fact that none of the coworkers batted an eye tells you this goes on all the time between the two of them. And this is the behavior they let you see. I can guarantee their behavior when they are alone at her house is much worse. She was all over him to let you know he may be yours on paper, but truly he is hers. Why do you want a relationship to work with someone who hasn't committed to you in 5 years, but is probably cheating on you? Maybe it's only emotional cheating, but I highly doubt that's where it stops. Also, why is emotional cheating acceptable to you? He's given attention to a woman in a way he should only give to you. That takes away from the specialness of you being a couple, because if he's emotionally invested with her, then he has pulled back from you. That comment has 3.3 thousand likes. I would agree with that 100%. People are saying this has to be fake, like that's how crazy this is, but I don't think this is fake. I mean, anybody who's worked at like a restaurant knows that people are crazy like this. People do all kinds of stuff. I mean, not just at restaurants, at other places too, but unfortunately, I think this is real. The only update is that she's going to set some boundary and demand XYZ and see if he does it. I don't know if I would put that kind of work into it. I mean, even just having a work wife is crazy enough. Like, that's so disrespectful. I mean, I really don't get it. I've never had like a work husband type of relationship with a coworker. I think that's weird as hell. I think you have to talk about it to people that you're dating. I mean, I've mentioned it to my actual husband, like real husband. He thinks that's weird. He doesn't have weird relationships with any women that he's worked with ever. Super weird. Maybe if you're not in a relationship and you have like a flirty work wife type of relationship with somebody or a work husband or whatever, that's one thing. I could see that kind of being fun for like, you know, people that are single that work together. I can see that. But no, if you're in a relationship and you have some kind of work hubby or work wife, no. Absolutely not. Oh, dang. So, okay, I had one story and it's been removed. Okay, moving on. So this next story, I think it may end up being the last one, but it comes from r/AITAH, as in, am I the asshole? And I think everybody has heard or seen stories from this sub. It's basically people asking if they're the asshole or not in a situation. We've all seen these and heard these. Probably. So the title of this one is, am I the asshole for wanting a child-free gym? Right off the bat, I'm going to say no. I'm looking for advice because I can be a little oblivious when it comes to kids as I don't have them. I, a 32-year-old woman, belong to a small CrossFit gym. I pay $150 a month for it. This is the only one within a 20-mile radius of my house. Okay, immediately, if you're paying $150 a month for something, I'd be really upset. If it were annoying to go to, if they're like, you know, Rugrats running around, I don't know, for $150 a month? I mean, the gym at my apartment complex is free. I would be annoyed if there were kids running around in there, and I'm not even really paying for that. At least not directly. I guess my rent's paying for it. But anyway, there's about 10 to 15 of us in a class at a time. 3 people usually bring their kids, and that's including the coach. Each of them have about 2 kids. So sometimes there may be up to 5 to 6 kids there, all between the ages of 5 and 10, depending depending on what day it is and who's there. I really do like the idea of being able to come to work out and bring your kids. I get it, daycare is expensive, but this wasn't one of the perks of the class. It wasn't discussed in the initial orientation. For the first couple of classes, the kids stayed in the coach's office. You really wouldn't even know they were there, but for the past 3 weeks, they have been running around wild. There's 2 sections of the gym, one where you put your shoes on and one where the main gym is. There's a big opening in between them so you can see the cubbies from the workout room. It begins the second you get there as you're putting on your shoes. There's kids running, screaming between the cubbies. Their shoes are all strewn about on the floor, so you're really tripping on them. Once the class starts, you have some kids that hang out on the jumping blocks that we sometimes need for class. They're always loudly blasting their tablets, which isn't a problem during the workouts when the music is on, but when the coach is trying to explain the workout, it's very distracting. Or they're running, screaming in the room where you put your shoes on. You can hear them and you can see them. In between sets, the kids think it's okay to run to their parents and they run in between the weights. I've even seen them run in the middle of the gym when we're doing deadlifts. People have had to stop in order to not hit the kids in the head. Yeah, I would imagine so. I just want to know if I'm the asshole for assuming that I'm entitled to a child-free gym, or at the very least a child-free workout where the kids are in a room for an hour and not bothering the rest of the adults who want to work out. Like I said, this wasn't one of the perks. It wasn't come here and bring your kids. The majority of us that work out here do not have kids. If this wasn't the only gym around, I would have quit already. Am I the asshole for thinking I'm entitled to a child-free gym? I don't think it's about entitlement or being entitled. I think like it's a safety issue more than anything. I would be really interested to know what type of insurance this place has that they can afford to have little kids running around in the open when you have like workout equipment and weights and like all kinds of stuff everywhere. Like I don't do CrossFit, but I know that they have a lot of like weird equipment, like big blocks and stuff, and like sometimes like giant tires. I think, I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's kind of dangerous. They could easily get stepped on or kicked or hit with a weight. I don't know. If I had kids, I definitely wouldn't want my kids running around in there because that's just not safe. Because what happens if something drops on them? Then I'm going to get mad at the person who dropped something on them. No, it's my fault because I let them run around in there. It has nothing to do with it being child free or not, which I mean, it is a space that should be child free. Like there are some areas that I think it's kind of stupid for people to complain that there's kids like on a plane. And this might be controversial. Is it annoying when like there's a baby crying on the flight? Sure. But what are they supposed to do? Like if you're going somewhere where you have to fly to get there from where you are, I mean, it's just kind of unreasonable to think that parents shouldn't be able to fly. So I think it's kind of stupid when people say like, oh, they should have child-free flights and stuff. Like that's crazy. There's not enough demand for that. There's just not. And like, it's really not that big a deal. Put your headphones on and just ignore it. You know, it's a baby. What are you going to do? Like, and half the time the parents don't want it to be screaming and yelling and everything either. They don't like it any more than you do. But like at a gym, that feels like a place where there shouldn't be any kids. Like a gym, that just doesn't sound like a good place for kids to be. It sounds dangerous. I don't know how this place is insuring themselves. I bet you their insurance provider does not know that they have kids running around in there, because they would absolutely probably not cover it if somebody's kids got hurt in it. I don't sell insurance. I don't know. One of the comments says, oh hell no, I'd complain loudly. I quite agree. I would too. And one of the other ones says, not the asshole, does the gym's liability insurance even cover kids? What happens when one inevitably has an accident or trips someone up who's holding weights and they land on the kid? Exactly. Like that's a whole can of legal worms that your gym is going to have to deal with. That'll shut a place down. Like the parents of that kid who got hurt, they'll own your gym at the end of that case. It seems like the general consensus is that they are not the asshole. They need to speak up and like frame it as a liability concern, not an I hate kids concern. That's exactly what it is, because really it's a liability. And honestly, if you're an adult, you're there to work out, you shouldn't have to worry like, oh, am I going to accidentally back up and hit a kid? That's just stupid. Like, just as a parent, come on, man. Is that really where you want your little kids running around? Some of these have been kind of crazy. So for the last thing, I am going to read something from r/wholesome. If you've never seen that on Reddit, go join it right now if you haven't already, because it's wholesome stuff, which I feel like we don't really get a lot of anywhere on the internet these days. You know, you go everywhere and anywhere and it's always like crazy negative stuff. I mean, even this video is, you know, crazy stories, not exactly the most positive and uplifting things in the world, family problems, crazy kids running around in the gym, etc. Anyways, who doesn't like a little something wholesome? All right. So this last story that I just found, I messed up twice in one day, but people were so nice and kind. First, I hit my neighbor's car mirror. They live across the street. We don't know them well, but they did introduce themselves to us once when we first moved in 3 to 4 years ago. Well, the mirror wasn't severely damaged, but I did see a scratch, so I knocked on the door. No one answered, so I left a note with my number and name. They texted me saying that the car is fine, but they were truly appreciative of my honesty, and they complimented my character. They wished me a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Then, my husband and I took our 1-year-old twins to a well-known park to see a Christmas light display. I thought I left my purse in the car, but figured no big deal. We only planned to be out of the car for 15 minutes. As we were walking back to the car, we saw an older couple, maybe in their 60s, parked next to us. They were waiting for us because they saw that I left my purse on the roof of my car. I guess I was frazzled trying to get the babies in their jackets and into the stroller, so I set it down and forgot. We offered them cash, but they refused. Anyway, just figured I would share. People can be assholes, but people can also be extremely patient and kind. My head is all over the place with planning both Christmas and the twins' birthday party this past weekend. I've been so busy and overwhelmed. I appreciate people like this. Definitely applauses to all the nice people in that story. That was nice. We kind of needed to have our faith in humanity restored just a little bit after all of that. It sounds like it's probably been a really rough holiday season, and holidays are always stressful. Even if you're like my husband and I, when you really don't do much in the holidays, it's still a stressful time of year. I can only imagine you have 2 1-year-old twins. That's a whole nother set of problems, really. And if anybody else had been around, she could have lost her whole purse when you have to replace like IDs and stuff. But I kind of like this story. That was nice. Something wholesome to kind of rest everything. I think probably the weirdest story was the first one, about the haircut. I just couldn't imagine like caring that much about anybody getting a haircut. I mean, even if my husband got a haircut, I'd probably only care about it if they messed it up, you know? That one was a little much, I think. And there were no updates on that either. So a lot of these stories were so new that they didn't have any. So I'll keep an eye on them to see maybe if there's any updates on any. I'll make a note of them in the next video. Thank you so much for being with me today and for listening to these stories. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, leave a comment or a like for me just to let me know and to let the algorithm know that you enjoyed it. This is a type of video that I want to do way more of. So it was a lot of fun for me to make. Hopefully you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.